The biggest question I get from clients considering investing in Florida is about hurricanes. In this video, we are going to cover what you need to know to protect your property if you are investing here in Florida. Hi, I'm Mindy Nickel, and my videos feature conversations around investment properties, hospitality, and how to use real estate to create wealth. My guest today is Davey Compton of Guardian Home Inspections here in St. Augustine, Florida. Hi, Davey. It's good to see you. Welcome to the call.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, this is a huge topic for people thinking about investing in Florida. It's the number one question I get. People want to know, especially in Northeast Florida, we get a lot of attention from the media about the state in general with regards to hurricanes. And it seems to project on the entire state. But the truth is about Northeast Florida, it's not quite the same as the South. And Davey, maybe you could just speak to that a little bit, being a resident here in St. Augustine for many years.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll refer back to the map that Florida's created of what's called the high velocity hurricane zone. There's a map. It shows average sustained winds, hurricane damage, stuff like that. And if you look at the map, it's pretty much the bottom of the state, the bottom couple of counties. And as it moves up the state, it gets smaller and smaller. And by the time it gets to St. Augustine, it almost doesn't exist. It is literally the homes on the beach. And even then, those homes are still all there. They've been there since forever. You know, there's 100-year-old homes, and you see lots of rows of homes right on the beach that were built in the 50s. And so there is kind of a misnomer that the entire state of Florida is affected by hurricanes.
Absolutely. And if you're not familiar with St. Augustine, we have over 500 years of history. It is one of the biggest tourist attractions in terms of history because we have amazing architecture and all of the the ruins and other things like restaurants and great things to do as well. So we have all of that going on. So in terms of flooding is there's two main things, right? With hurricanes, you've got the flooding and you've got the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Let's separate those out so people can understand. Maybe talk a little bit about, well, one of the things is flood zones, right?
Yes. Yeah. So referring to another map is going to be FEMA's flood zone map. It shows all the high and low points, and it's a fantastic tool to have if you're looking at buying here, because there's definitely areas that we loosely refer to as high and dry, homes that have never seen floodwaters. There's a lot of them. There's actually not too much low-lying land that's going to get floodwaters. But again, hurricanes in this area, really flooding is just not that big of an issue. The lower lying homes are built and designed to take on that water. And so there's plenty of people that own homes in those low lying areas, and they just know, well, flood water is going to come in and then it's going to go out, and we'll continue on with our day.
Hmm. Absolutely. What about prevention? Like things that people should know about preventing water intrusion. If we
Mhm.
hear, okay, there is a hurricane coming, what are the key things that you would suggest?
Okay, so having newer and updated building materials, and this can be done on an old home, but um, hurricane shutters and uh, roofs, as time goes on, are designed more and more to withstand winds. So the number one roof to own in any hurricane area is a metal standing seam metal roof. They did some tests the last hurricane that actually did some damage down in the Tampa area. They did a study, and the number one roof was a metal roof. So looking at that, shingle roofs don't last forever here, and so you do have to replace them eventually. And it's always a good idea to look at the option of converting that to a metal roof.
It's a great point. Absolutely. I mean, I think the metal roofs look great. I've got one on my house, so
Yeah,
I'm a
they're
big
fantastic.
fan, and especially with the historic homes too. It's kind of a traditional look to have that metal roof with the wooden style of bungalow. You'll see a lot of them. If you're not familiar with St. Augustine, you'll see a lot of them in downtown, just like that.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, let's talk, Davey, about some of the common misperceptions about hurricanes.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the conversation we were having, is that the entire state of Florida gets devastated by hurricanes. And it's just simply not true. A lot of hurricanes, they come around the bottom and then they come in and they come across, and the second they make landfall, they start losing their velocity. So it might be a high impact storm when it makes landfall, and then we are all preparing over here, and then we have an evening of some windy rain.
Hmm.
So I think that's a misnomer, that the entire state gets
Yeah,
affected greatly, and wind, really the most damage that I see in this area are some missing shingles,
yeah.
and or maybe a tree branch, a tree branch fell. And
I was going to say that because on my property, I have a lot of trees, which I recently got cut and trimmed. But that's a key thing, and it's taking care of your yard or depending on what landscaping you have, because if you've got stuff flying around, um, pieces of wood or a fence lying down, or or just tree branches that are loose or things that are hanging over the house.
yeah,
Those are the things to address and get a professional tree person to come in and do it, especially if it is over the house, because they know how to handle that. Or over power lines is another thing, right?
yes, definitely, yeah. And a lot of the trees here, they're also designed to withstand high winds. You see these 100-year-old, 150-year-old live oaks that are hanging over a house, and they've had hurricanes several times. At this side of the state, high winds, and a professional arborist will determine, okay, let's remove that one and that one, but let's keep that one. That one will be just fine. And so you can still keep the aesthetic of the trees here is just amazing. And so, we don't want to show up and just start chopping trees away, but these trees can handle it for the
Yeah.
most part. So I really don't see tree branches causing very much damage.
Hmm. What about people ask me about impact windows on homes. Now, not every home in St. Augustine has impact windows, right? Especially some
Correct.
of the older properties. So, can you talk a little bit about that and what people might need to know to reassure them if it doesn't have impact windows?
Definitely. So, and I'll talk about wind mitigation in general. Um, so wind mitigation is protecting your home. And the state of Florida, they got together, they formed a committee and said, okay, we want people to have mitigation to prevent loss. And so we're going to create this questionnaire that asks what components you have. And to every component that you have, we're mandating that insurance companies give you a discount on your insurance policy. So wind mitigation not only helps protect your home, but it can also save you a lot of money on your insurance policy. And it's essentially 6 questions. There's an A and B to some of them. And that is your roof. What materials do you have? How old is it? Right. And that's also going to talk about your roof deck thickness, the spacing of your rafters. How strong is your roof? And then from there, it goes to what's called the roof to wall attachment, which is a metal clip or a strap holding those roof structures down to the walls. Now, a lot of older homes don't have that. I started seeing those in builds from the 70s and on, but that is the number one feature that's going to save you the most on your insurance policy. And you can have them retrofitted onto a home. So in the $2,000 range to have those put on your home, on an average home, and it can save you, I've seen people save $1,000 a year off their policy to have those. So seeing whether or not you have those and adding them if you can is fantastic. And then also secondary water protection underneath your shingles. And then we're going to go to opening protections. It's going to be your doors and windows and your garage. Now, I do hundreds and hundreds of wind mitigation inspections, and I can tell you almost nobody has impact rated windows and doors. Almost no one. I see it maybe once a year, and usually it's on the beach and it's in someone that built a new home.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a requirement in Miami. Here, it's not a requirement. So if you do add those, you can get an additional discount and you can protect your home a little bit more. But there's other options, more affordable options, and that's going to be shutters. You can buy shutters. You can have them retrofit to every door and window, and you can assemble them when a storm is coming. One of the beauties about hurricanes and hurricane preparedness is we usually get 2-week notice. Hey, it's forming in the Gulf. Hey, it's doing this. Hey, it's doing this. Okay, we're thinking this is going to turn into something. Prepare. And so we have that time, versus an earthquake or tornado or something like that where it just appears. We have time to prepare. So that's something that's a good peace of mind to know, and we have time to prepare. So you can get shutters. You can even get a discount on your insurance policy for having plywood pre-cut and ready to install on your home. It's not much of a discount, but we don't do all wind mitigation for discounts. That's just the added feature,
Do
and
the
we just want to
shutters,
protect our home.
are the shutters okay to get a discount on insurance as well? Is that something that qualifies?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So depending on the level of protection you have, your discount's going to vary. It's also an algorithm that takes into consideration the value of the home, size of the home, stuff like that. So one person with shutters could get $100 a year off their policy, and one person with shutters could get $1,000 a year off their policy. It just depends on a bunch of different factors. But we don't do any wind mitigation features for discounts. we do them to protect our home. And if you put all these features in place, your home is very much protected.
Absolutely. So these are great ways to save on your insurance, and obviously you want to shop around. I did a call recently about insurance specifically. So if you're looking at this channel, you might see that, and that's a really great one to watch, by the way, about Florida and insurance. And it's not as scary as you think. Again, many misconceptions with insurance in Florida. But anything else, Davey, that from your perspective on the insurance and what people can do to save?
No, I mean, wind mitigations are the most you can do to save, but I will also talk about wind-driven rain. So, we have wind and we have rain, but when they combine, they can get into the smallest areas. I've seen a nail hole in a roof let water in and create a stain on the ceiling. So storm preparedness is definitely something to consider anytime we're going to have wind-driven rain, to just make sure everything's buttoned up on the exterior. If that's
Absolutely.
caulking or getting wind-wise, getting things moved out of your yard, yard furniture and stuff like that, and then just hunker down. And
Yeah.
I rarely see damage. It just comes and it goes, and you might need to replace a couple shingles or something like that. But we have the beauty of a historic, the first city in the country, and we also have the fact that we don't really get affected by hurricanes that bad.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't, but with a little bit of preparedness, um,
Yeah.
we're fine. I mean, I live here.
This is just a kind of a side topic, but I'm thinking about it. For people that have investment properties, if they have, and they've got tenants or that it's an Airbnb and they've got guests staying and things like that, they may not live here or live close to their investment. Is there anything that you think, from your perspective, would be helpful to know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a big advocate of getting an annual inspection or consultation. And like I've told you before, we're offering that service where it's affordable. Get a professional with a lot of background in the field to come around and just put eyes on it and just say, hey, make some suggestions on keeping things maintained.
Yeah, that's
Um,
actually, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because we did it on another video, but not this one. Because, if people are out of state,
yes,
it's really great to have somebody like yourself they can trust to put a professional report together. And we're talking under $500 usually, right? Um,
yeah,
yeah, an annual report. So, you might have a duplex or a quadplex, or, it may be even
mhm,
just an Airbnb single family home. You haven't got eyes on it every single day, every week, or every month. And so
right,
you don't know what's going on. And tenants tend, and especially Airbnb too, it's a hard wearing
yeah,
business. They are really, your house is going to get damage, whether it's from the guests or the environment, right? So I think, Davey, what you offer is really invaluable.
absolutely. And it's just having someone coming around and doing that for you. And I do have different tiers of service. Primarily I want to educate homeowners on knowing what to look for themselves. But if you're, an investment properties where you're not around, I also have a very large list of business professionals that do great work that I have personal relationships with that I can coordinate anything you need, really. So, preventative maintenance is key, be proactive and not reactive. Um, it's like going to the dentist, right? You go to the dentist once a year, and if they find something, it was easy to take care of because it was small. We caught it early. It's the same thing with your home. This is a large investment, and keeping maintenance on it is going to save you so much money from not discovering something,
Hmm.
right? Not waiting until your Airbnb tenants are saying, "Hey, there's a musty smell when we come in here." Like, yeah, if we caught that early, it could have been pennies on the dollar to repair at the time. And so, if you're out of state or you just simply don't have the time, um, you can use me as a great resource to say, okay, well, here's an issue we found, and here's the people to do it, and we can facilitate getting that scheduled and get you taken care of. All hands off.
Hmm. Yeah, I will back you up on that one, Davey. You have great contacts, and they're my contacts now too, many of them that I trust. And I've used personally to keep my home updated and my other properties. So definitely it's the value of a professional inspector is to lean on them, especially if you're not there. I
Yes.
will also say that with Airbnb Verbo, the five-star reviews are everything. So if something goes wrong, you're not around, um, it's better to prevent that early, to keep up because you don't want to get lower reviews. It just backfires your whole business
Yes.
strategy and getting bookings.
Hmm. So yeah, we can definitely help you out with that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else people need to know about hurricane mitigation? Florida?
No, in most scenarios and all of my over 1,000 inspections, my number one concern is just moisture intrusion, and it's very simple to prevent.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on this call, Davey. I'm going to post your contact info in the notes below on the video. So if people want to get in touch, they
Sure.
can do that. They can book or give you a call, right? And you can
Yeah,
schedule something to see the property and find out what it is they
yeah.
need. So you obviously are doing inspections for buyers, for sellers, but also just maintenance in general.
Yes, maintenance and insurance. We offer a wide range of services, customizable services, and um, really passionate about just sharing my knowledge. I didn't just go to home inspection school and get my license. I've been in the field since the 90s
Yeah.
as a contractor, both residential and commercial contractor, and did a lot of remodels. And for a long time, my construction company specialized in the historic district. So I'm very well versed in older homes and systems and components and what to look for, where to look, and how to maintain those. And this whole maintenance idea of educating people on what to look for and where to look is something I'm really trying to help people with this year.
Yeah, and especially if you're an investor listening to this and you're new to investing, you want to build a portfolio, it's a great opportunity to get educated into some of these issues. And then once you know, right? And so that you'll be able to apply your knowledge and maybe not need Davey for that second, third, fourth property because you already kind of know, and you'll have also your team of people that help you maintain the property as well at that point.
Absolutely. And if you want to just call and have a conversation, that's perfectly fine with me. This is what I'm passionate about. And I'll love to just talk to anyone about investment properties or just building science in general.
Absolutely.
Reach out.
I always attend all of your inspections, Davey. As you know, I learn so much every time, and it's critical to really understand homes here in Florida.
Mhm.
Well, with that said, thank you so much for your time. This has been great. And I will post your contact details in the video and the links below.
Oh, that's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, I hope you come back soon, and I'll see you soon. It's Mindy. Thanks again for joining me on this conversation. If you got something out of it, I would love it if you could subscribe to my channel, or you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Invest with Mindy, and I will see you next time.